Hey TV fans, Bored Now back with you, and on this video I'm going to be talking about The Penguin, episode 1. The episode is called After Hours, so full spoilers from the start of this review as always, in case you haven't seen this episode yet and don't want it spoiled. So yeah, first episode of the new HBO Max limited series. I think this is just going to be a one-off series, which makes sense, and it does feel like a bit of a bridge and like an in-between the first of the Matt Reeves movies, which came out a couple of years ago, and the second one, which I hear isn't going to come out till 2026 now, so still a couple of years away. So I think that's definitely one of the reasons they're putting this out as sort of like a placeholder or as like a go between those two movies. And it's set in the same world. Colin Farrell returns from the movie, so very much still in this universe and following on from the Batman movie. And that was already something in its favour because Colin Farrell was so good in the Batman film. Like, it was just, they did a great job with the special effects makeup. He managed to really disappear into the role where he became very unrecognisable, almost as Colin Farrell. It was really hard to tell that it was actually him underneath all that makeup. But it was just this really great performance. He was a really effective, charismatic, but very sleazy presence that really felt at home in that world. So it made sense to get Colin Farrell back for the TV show, and you can see in many ways, especially in this first episode and how it plays out, how there is like room to explore his character a bit more. And that's definitely one thing you were never going to complain about, them bringing Colin Farrell back in the role, because he was so good and so memorable in the movie. So it's literally, yeah, I'll have a bit more of that. But there's also a question mark over these things, always like, okay, we're doing a Penguin spin-off now. Do we really need this? Is it necessary? Will the character hold up in a spin-off? Similar sort of questions than some people have over the Joker and that movie, and now we're getting prepared for the sequel, or I'm not, because I'm not really looking forward to that sequel. I think I can wait for sure. But yeah, that's the thing with that. I'm not a fan of that first Joker movie, and that's definitely one thing where it's like, well, does the character really need a spin-off movie? What are they doing with this? Is it just going to look like a bit of a cheap cash-in? And that's the challenge of this Penguin show. Like, can it justify its existence and feel like a distinct thing on its own? And, well, I'll get into it, but I think it definitely does in this first episode. It definitely justifies its existence, and it sets itself up as a very promising limited series, because I'll say then this hour of TV is one of the best hours of TV I've seen all year. Like, maybe the best, certainly one of the best. But as an episode to kick the show off, it couldn't have done much more in my eyes. Like, it couldn't have nailed what it wanted to be anymore. And really, I was just engrossed from the first moment onwards, and that really says something. Because another challenge is, because you've got like a shady, villainous character here who's very underhanded and corrupt, then again, it's that sort of thing of, well, he's effective in the movie because he's playing his role and he's interacting with like Batman and with like some other people's, but it is like a supporting role. He gets to really shine, because sometimes it is easier to become like a scene stealer in like smaller supporting roles, but then it's a challenge to like really hold your own and carry like your own TV show. That's a very different thing. And again, there's no question that really Colin Farrell is up to the task as an actor, but it's just a case of if there's going to be enough material and like there's enough here, and partly it is making you at least be interested in the character as a lead character and be like invested in what's going to happen to him and the drama around him. Like, and I think that's one thing in this first episode, and in many ways you do see a more human side to the Penguin, and they do a good job of showing that, and they do a good job of showing his complexities, and that there is a little bit of a lightness there, and it's probably something they have to do in this kind of thing, because it would be very hard. Like, it would take a special tone, really, to make him just a complete piece of shit, and that's kind of the show. Like, you can do that, but it is very hard to, like, really care and really want to go on a journey with the character if they do that. And he definitely has moments like that, and there's definitely going to be stuff like that throughout this show, I think. Like, obviously, if they did a complete 360 and it's like, oh, okay, he's a new guy in a way, that just wouldn't work. And in this first episode, they never do that. He definitely feels still like the old Penguin, but it does a very good job of showing those more human moments as well. Because one thing also which this was in danger of doing is then definitely early on, as I was watching the first scene with him and how he was interacting with people and just the mood of it, and also just because it does involve like gangs and what have you quite a lot, then it was a little bit in danger of just becoming like, okay, this is like the Batman universe's version of The Sopranos type thing, because there are some similarities like in the way his character is portrayed in this and with Tony Soprano, because it again has that little thing of, which was always a thing with Tony Soprano, then there is a human in there. Like, there is like a lightness to the character and a little bit of the humour. And even though he does some of the most despicable things you can imagine, there is like a human side to him. And a big thing in The Sopranos was like that character fighting with his like kind of extreme masculinity in many ways. But as I said, there was a little bit of a danger of this going that way, but in the end I don't think it did, or it was certainly enough of its own thing not to feel like too derivative of that. But really strong setup to the episode, because it follows on from the events of the Batman movie. It takes place pretty much in the aftermath of that and what we saw at the end of the movie. And because of what went down at the end of the movie, we see a pretty smart way to recap what happened is that we see it being reported on the news, and because of the chaos that caused in the city, the Penguin now sees an opportunity, because he is in like a prime position to take over the gangs basically from Falcone, because of him being killed off, spoiler, in the Batman movie. And he sees an opportunity to take over like the drug empire. So the first scene of the episode is the younger son, the son of Falcone, coming in. Alberto, his name is, and he comes in to talk to the Penguin, because Alberto is now, with his father out the picture, he's kind of the man in charge, and they discuss things. And what this scene is the Penguin trying to like smooth up to him, like cozy up to him, and sort of charm him into like, we can go into business. I have certain leads, like I have certain contacts, and we can make a really good team, and we can rule this city. So he's trying to like bring him in on the idea, and trying to get in sweet with Alberta as a man of power. And this scene is just a good like intro scene. It's a good sort of feel to what the episode is going to be and what the show might be, and just how it naturally builds and plays out is a good example of what the first episode does, because it's a very grounded first episode in many ways, and it's a very gritty first episode, and it definitely has quite a slow pace to it, but it's a slow pace that really pays off in a scene like this, because I enjoy the interactions and just how unpredictable it is, like what's going to happen next. And you can see the penguin almost like priming this guy for, okay, I'm gonna be the big wig in the long term, but I'm gonna take this kid under my wing. And I think that's what's fun about the scene, is that subversion, because you are sort of set up to think, okay, they're going to be a team moving forward now. And then it's at the point where Alberta realizes then the penguin is like maybe setting himself up for like the big job, and that not only that, but he really fancies himself, the penguin. Like he really thinks, oh, okay, I'm gonna be a big star now. I'm gonna have my name up in lights, but he's getting that vibe off the penguin that he's just doing this for like notoriety, and it's at that point where he starts mocking him and laughs, and just that one choice to mock the penguin is what costs him, because we see the penguin can just snap at any moment, and he just shoots him dead. And it gets across that very reactionary, almost like his masculinity has been challenged, and it's just an explosive moment. And then him trying to like react and clean things up, and realizing what he's done, because that's going to be a big issue that he has to clean up. And there's some fun in the episode also. There's some lighter comedic touches, some darker humour, which definitely fits quite nicely, but also works really well, because I know with maybe the film, because it was so gritty, it was so intense, some people probably thought that maybe that was a bit, okay, this is a bit too dark, or it's taking itself a bit too seriously. And I'm not necessarily saying I agree with that, because I did really like the film, and there were little moments in the film that had that, like, the humour to it, but I can see why people might say that of the film. But this definitely got a good balance with that, because there were, as I said, more darkly funny moments as well, and him trying to dispose of the body was a good example of that, like him like dragging it out in the body bag, but then realising as he was going down the stairs and it was too heavy for him, and so he's like, oh, screw it, I'll just drop it down the stairs, like just make my life a bit more easier. So stuff like that was like a good comedic sort of lighter moment. As I said, like more dark humour. But yeah, just that first scene, the way it sets you up to think one thing's going to happen, and then, oh my god, okay, he shot this kid, so I guess that's not going to work. And then I just like how random it is then, as he's like trying to get rid of the body and he's taking it to the car, how these kids, like these street kids, are trying to break into his car and trying to rob his car. And this sort of stuff does set this show, this story, in a very like urban, like gritty, like just grounded sort of feel to it, where like some Batman movies or Batman stories, things in that universe haven't quite felt like that. Like they haven't really got down and dirty onto the streets. Like it hasn't felt so every day. And I mean, there's room for different kinds of Batman stories, so that's not really like a massive issue. But I think this is just a good example. The fact that it is like street kids. So I do like how it's when they're trying to nick his car, then that's how he comes across this character, Victor, who's going to be, in many ways, like the co-lead of the show. Because this is actually the kid, the younger one, who he's going to take under his wing. And he's already a crook in some ways, so the Penguin sees a way to exploit that, really. And he scares off the other kids, but he catches Victor, and at first it seems like he may just kill him, but along the way Victor talks to the Penguin. He begs him, basically, and talks him into like not killing him off. And that's when it's just this fun little like natural interactions where the Penguin like drives him around, and it's throughout the episode they stop off at different places, and he says wait in the car, and he's kind of doing this very intimidating thing where it's like, okay, I could kill you at any moment, kid, so you better play ball, you better hang around. And then slowly over the course of the episode he softens a little bit, but that was one of the best things about the episode. One of the most intense things was, yeah, he's messing with this kid, but he's managing to be very intimidating. And it's just the sense that some of this you're seeing through this kid's eyes, this Victor's eyes. And it's this idea of, well, he doesn't really know this guy, and he's already proven then he's an intimidating character. So in theory he could kill him at any moment, and we've already seen him snap and kill someone earlier in the episode. So that was one of the great like dramas of the episode, was what's he gonna do with Victor. And not just that, because like to a certain point you're like, well, he's pretty sure he's not going to kill him in the first episode, because it seems like this is going to be a long-term thing in the series. But what exactly will he do? And also, is this what is this going to do for Victor, like his life and stuff? Because that's the thing that Penguin offers him, like later in the episode, where he says, like, in a way, you've got no life right now. You're on the streets, you're struggling for money, but I can give you money, I can give you a life and a role helping me out. And once again, it's sort of appealing to like a young man's masculinity, and a young man who is very poor and doesn't have a lot. And probably at that age, you don't really see that much of a future. So if someone like this with some power, or just like he offers you something like this, then it's very easy to be seduced into this life. And again, it's a fascinating like dynamic, because like on the one hand you fear for Victor being dragged into the life, and what exactly is he going to get involved with as a result of being linked to the Penguin. But at the same time, there are like subtle, like sweeter moments where the Penguin, it does seem that he cares about the kid, like in his own way at least. So you do see those moments where they have some nice moments together, they have quite a nice bond, there's a little bit of banter. And I think from the Penguin's point of view, although he's not called the Penguin in this, I should say, he goes by the actual name Oswald Copperpot. From Oswald's point of view, it does seem that he sees himself as a father figure, then he can actually do something for this kid, even though maybe he's being a bit naive or a little bit self-serving, and but just this idea, then this is really the idea for him. But by the end of the episode, that's a big part of what their thing in the episode about, is that he's seeing the world, starting to see the world from the Penguin's point of view, from Oswald's point of view, and just him slowly getting a little bit more confident and interacting more with this character and actually getting involved. And the way he gets involved at the end is a big moment where he's the one who has to help hatch the plan to save Penguin's bacon, basically. So that's a really good scene and reveal, which is very nicely done. But yeah, I really felt the chemistry between the two characters and enjoyed the drama. The sort of very sort of slow burn, subtle drama, but I thought it was very nicely done. And the kid who they've cast for Victor was really natural as well. I think he did a really good job. But part of what the episode is, how it's going to play out, is we see the introduction of the sister. So Sophia Falcone, the sister of the mob boss, and she shows up when they're having this meeting with Oswald, and she comes out of the shadows, so very film noir. She just appears there and makes her presence known, and it's a great entrance. And yeah, she's played by Christine Miletti, who's one of those character actresses seen in quite a few things, and she's just great in the role. You can tell she's having a lot of fun. She's a real presence. She's got a really just very sinister, very playful, but very understated. She really has this sense of a mysterious sort of menace, and she's just very icy. From the moment she walks in, there's this sense that there is a presence to this character, and she is in control in many ways, but just the mystery of it around in her, how much does she know? Has she figured out that the Penguin killed her brother, or that he's involved somehow? But just how much she knows and how much she has figured out, and this sense that she's playing with Oswald, and it's she's almost in control. And just the reactions from Oswald, where he has to lie his way out of this situation. He has to cover his tracks, and he has to be quite diplomatic. He has to because this character Sophia has a lot of power, and if she wanted, could just kill him on the spot. So he has to be quite charming and diplomatic and try and kind of maneuver his way out of those situations. So it's a lot of fun. As I said, she's really great in the role. She's one of those character actresses you see in quite a lot, but she's very intimidating, seemingly without doing nothing. But there's some great interactions between them in the episode, and I really do enjoy her whispering in his ear, in the restaurant scene. It's yeah, everybody underestimates you, but I don't. And it's just this great line which has a double meaning, and it's almost well, is that just a compliment? Is that just a warning? Because it definitely plays as a warning, and it hints that she could know more about, I know that you're involved in this somehow, Penguin. I just, maybe I can't prove it yet. Or it could just be that she knows and he's interested in moving in on her territory and her brother's territory. And it's I see what you're doing, Penguin. It definitely has that menacing sort of threatening type tone to the suggestion, and yeah, some great drama between them, and then the way ultimately the Penguin, for the time being, like maneuvers his way out of it, which is basically by setting up a turf war. And this is like right near the end of the episode where like they've been Saphira's like kidnapped him, got him tied up, he's like naked, and it's like a torture scene practically to try and get answers out of him. It's a really intense scene which holds nothing back. And then you get the plan being hatched where the kid arranges to like send the car crashing through the building and through some glass to cause a distraction, and in the car is like the body of the brother, and you've got the ring also, which basically indicates then it's the other faction in this like drug war. So it's the side of it's the Clancy Brown character, who's like great to see him as well. Another really good character actor. He's always good at playing kind of shadowy type characters. But there's a nice little scene with the Penguin and him in prison at one point where, so the way the Penguin hatches this plan and the way it comes together, because it's one of the fun things sometimes where it's like, okay, he's going to get out of this somehow because it's only episode 1, but the question is, how is he going to do it? And the way he does it is like brilliant, and the way it's a fun little misdirect, because you see him at one point when he's being chased by Sophia's goons, you see him like ring the kid trying to get hold of him, and he can't do it, like he can't get an answer, and so he's just really frustrated. And then you kind of cut back to it, and you just think, okay, he hasn't gotten hold of him, so he can't get Victor to help him. But then it's revealed later that they had a plan all along, and Victor just executes the plan, and there's the body, there's the ring, and the plan is to like frame this other like leader of this other faction, so the Clancy Brown character. So very good like reveal, and very good way to like offset that and get the Penguin out of danger for now. And that confirms to him like, oh, I'm really impressed with you today, Victor, and I can see that you've got a bright future. There's a lot of potential. And once again, I think it's that idea of, yes, this might not be the ideal life for Victor, and like once he gets in deep, probably he's going to be put in harm's way more often than not, and is this really the life for him? But once again, it's painting this picture as like a kid, a very poor kid on the streets who maybe doesn't have a lot of options. And definitely one thing the episode does so well is it does, as I said, show this like more humane side to the Penguin, and it does show that in his own way he is a father figure to the kid, or he can be a father figure. Like they can have that sort of relationship where he will at least look out for him. So their scenes together were very well done, and I do like them like enjoying the slush puppy together, and the use of 9 to 5 was very good as well, because again it's this ironic type thing that literally 9 to 5, a day in the life of like someone like Oswald, but it just has this sort of more upbeat sort of lift to it, but this kind of ironic use of it in many ways. But that was a very nice use of that song. And yeah, just throughout the episode, a lot of good drama. As I said, very slow moving, but I think it pays off how slow moving it was. I was really involved in the characters and the drama, some good action scenes, and a lot of intriguing things was set up. Another really good scene is the scene with his mother, when he goes to visit her. And that's another actress who I know out of things. I think I know her best from Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I'm pretty sure she plays like the wife of the Tom Wilkinson character in that movie, but I've seen her in other things as well. She's a really good actress, and so a good choice to play Oswald's mother. And once again, that's a different side to him, because he has to look out for her because she's getting on a little bit in years. She's maybe not in the best health, and that's something he tells Victor to do. Like, I need you to look out for my mother here. And it's almost this idea of him thinking about, well, if something happens to me, something bad, I need someone to look out for her. So once again, it shows a little bit of a different side to the character, which I think was welcome. And it's a really good scene as well, because she's this very tough talking, like, she's very blunt in the way she expresses things, and it really comes across what a strong presence she is in Oswald's life. And like, okay, who's the kid? What's going on here? Like, she just speaks her mind pretty much all the time, and she's very tough on him in like the scene. But they have a nice little chemistry as well. But again, I think that's a good little scene to show a little bit more going on with the character and just open up his world a little bit. So I'm not sure if this is a character who's going to be in every episode, but I would definitely be up for seeing her in a few episodes, because the actress is good, and I think this episode sets her up as like a promising character, like a promising, and as I said, just another side really of the Penguin character. So yeah, episode 1 I really liked. I wasn't sure how much I was going to like it or what to expect. It definitely had a challenge to like grab me and make me want to see like a Penguin spin-off series, but yeah, it delivered. It really did deliver. I was very impressed with episode 1. So that's the Penguin, episode 1, After Hours. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Share me out on social media. You can also support the channel for as little as $1 a month on patreon.com/borednow. And during October, with the Halloween stuff going on, the horror stuff going on all month, there will be lots of extras going up on Patreon. So commentaries, reviews, little bit of like things like documentaries I'm doing. So lots of extras you can expect during this next month. So look out for that. And it's just $1 a month to sign up if you want to support the channel that way as well. But yeah, let me know what you think of this first episode of The Penguin, and I'll be back soon with episode 2. Thanks guys, see you again soon.